Hello, my name is Martyr, and this is the Indie Game of the Week, Sunless Sea, and thank you for watching. Sunless Sea is a roguelike or roguelite, guys, whatever term you prefer, adventure survival game. Set in the backdrop of a Gothic, steampunk-esque, Lovecraftian fallen London, guys. It really almost feels like kind of like a pen and paper role-playing game, except that we actually get to play it here on our PCs. Either way, it's weird, it's dark, it feels very rich and vast and fully realized kind of universe, guys, and I really like that about the game, guys. It released on Steam February 2015, but it was on early access for quite a while before that. It was developed and published by Failbetter Games. You can go ahead and get Sunless Sea on Steam for the first week sale price of $17.09 or $18.99 normally, which as of the posting of this video, I think you have about less than a day's worth of time to get that first week sale price. So, you know, jump on that if you can, guys. Now, a couple things before we get started here, guys. One, I will be, of course, doing the Indie Game of the Week stream, so make sure you are following me on Twitter for all the details about that, guys. And two, this game is vast, guys, and I feel like I've only kind of gotten a couple of swipes at the game, a couple scratches at the surface of this game. There's a lot of things to talk about in this game. So if I miss a particular detail or a feature, don't sue me. It's just because this game is very rich. It has a lot of things to see, a lot of things to do. It's very open-ended. It's an open world type of game. For God's sakes, they said there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 200,000 lines of stories in this game, guys. If that just gives you an idea of how much there is to see and perhaps do in this game. We're gonna, of course, start off with the options, guys. Audio sliders, of course, nothing really that big to speak of here. As far as video settings go, it does go up to 1080p, which is rather nice, but it doesn't really have much of graphics control, but that's not necessarily a big deal. I mean, you're mostly looking at this game from a top-down view. You can go all the way from sublime to adequate, and of course, enable screen effects. I've played it with it, otherwise it's just fine. One thing I really do like about this game is that it does feature actually controller support. But you have to rebind all of the keys for it to work. It doesn't natively work with the controllers. You would have to go through here and be like, okay, well, I want, you know, Gazetter to work with my joystick button 1, which it does work actually with my Logitech controller, so I don't imagine it would have a problem working with an Xbox controller. And of course, you can also reset the defaults, which is really nice too. So yeah, controller support, rebindable keys, big plus right there. Love that. And you have a tutorial, of course, which kind of is the one thing I will say is a little bit weird about Sunless Sea is the tutorial. It does a good job of explaining what you need to know, but not necessarily what to do. So we're gonna go ahead and load up into a game I've been playing here. I've been playing the game for about 2 hours to 3 hours or so now, which has kind of gotten me a basic understanding of what your general accomplishments, what you're aiming to do is. And one thing I want to say is that the game is a very open world. There is a goal, but the goal is defined almost kind of like by you, pretty much. It is what you want to do, what goals you want to chase. So let's talk about what you're looking at right here. There's a lot of things to discuss on this particular screen. On the top left, we have our compass in a way, or basically our nautical, where the hell we're going, or is this actually, I'm sorry, this is the speed dial. That's not the compass. That's where it's telling us where we're going. Below that, we have the integrity of our hull. To the right of that, we have the number of fuel. Below that, the number of supplies we have, which is basically how we feed our crew. Below that is our terror scale meter thing. The higher this gets, the more chances are of your crew going apeshit and eating you, or thinking you're an octopus, or all sorts of crazy crap that could happen in this game. I have actually not gotten my terror scale all that high quite yet, so I don't really know what happens, but I can imagine this is like a constant struggle to keep these things up and then keep this thing down. As you basically go into the vast darkness of the sea, your crew's going to start getting more and more paranoid, because basically in this universe the story is that London fell underground and that there is no light. Essentially everything is in the dark, everything's lit by either conventional fluorescent lights or whatever have you, or ship lights. There is no sun. So that kind of has given, you know, twisted people's minds, given rise to all sorts of crazy Gothic things going on, guys. To the bottom of that, we have the tutorial screen, which kind of gives you little tips in here and all that, basically explaining what to do. You can turn that off, of course. Below that is the logbook, which basically tells you things that you've discovered, things that are happening, etc., etc. To the top right, you have your character, which in this case for me is Diz. I thought he looked like the guy from Kingdom Hearts, and that's what I named him. Below that is the number of crew you have, and then you're kind of like your main officers. You have your first officer, your chief engineer. I have a shady cook who is my cook. He gives me +1 hearts. Your gunnery officer, your surgeon, and then your mascot, which also gives you points, benefits, I should say. These benefits are represented below, right below, basically hearts, which is inspires and heals and defense, sometimes helps with tests around terror. All these basically points help you with in-game events that you'll be basically approaching. The higher these scores are, the better it is for you. Veils, speed, stealth, deception decreases the range at which enemies will spot you. Pages, 25. Historic and occasionally knowledge increases the speed at which you convert fragments to secrets. I have no idea what exactly that means, but again, this game is vast and complex and has a lot of things I'm sure that I'm not aware of. Mirrors, detection and perception. The higher your mirrors, the quicker you can find a firing solution in combat. And then finally, iron, destroy, increases damage your attacks do. Which, when you first make a character, we will be approaching all that stuff, you kind of have the option of what to specialize in. I chose, I think, gunnery or military background, basically. So that kind of covers what you're looking at right here. Below here is the journal, which is how you'll be kind of interacting with the game 90% of the time, aside from kind of, you know, going from place to place and shooting and combat. This is how you're going to be interacting with the shit of the game. Right now, we're at the Corsair's Forest West. Or Galder's Morn, I should say, or Gator's Morn, I should say. And this, we'll get to this in a bit, but you also have your hold, which shows you how much cargo you have. Your journal, which basically is a representation of how much quests you have or what things that you've managed to accomplish. Memoirs, objectives, etc., etc. A whole lot of information is in here. You do have a little bit of like a main quest, which for me is finding my father's bones. Where's that? The Gods of the Z. Is this one? I don't really remember, but it's somewhere in here. Basically, it's kind of like your main quest. You can look through it all basically, and it tells you what you got going on. As far as things that you can trade with, you can do all that kind of stuff. You can trade, you can smuggle, but information is also very important in this game. You can trade information in for money, and it's a rather very large important part of the game is information. Here you can get a view of your crew, any extra crew that you don't have assigned to any particular position. You can also talk to your crew. You can also unassign them. You can find out their dreams and aspirations and why they are here. There's also shops, which you can buy a lot of different things from. Also a shipyard, because you can, of course, upgrade your ship, give it new guns, get bigger and better ships. A whole lot of different things you can do in this game. So let's go ahead and actually go ahead to the story. The story basically is I had to go and get these things called port reports. And I had to go around to 3 other ones basically to get information about my father's remains, which are somewhere hidden at sea. That's kind of like my main goal. It won't always be your goal. There's always hundreds of different kinds of goals going on in this game. And I want to show you something really quick of how vast this game is. This is actually a collection of between 2 games because the map randomly generates itself every time you start over. However, you can kind of choose an option upon death to keep the map of your last captain, so that way you know where things are and you can kind of map things out. But if you don't want to do that in your legacy screen, you can choose other things. And we'll get to the legacy screen in a bit because I'm probably going to go ahead and kill myself. So we're going to go ahead and dock. We're going to head to the Gator's Morn. Again, what I'm here to do is to get a port report, so that way I could take it back to the main city of Fallen London and basically trade it in for information as to my father's whereabouts. That's currently the story. And again, there's lots of reading in this game. The Morn is a stalagmite vast as a crag, and its foot has no safe harbors. The Corsair's citadel nestles halfway up. An intricate system of winches takes the strain, and your ship rises slowly from the Z, aka the sea. Her hull creaks in protest. Grizzled sailors groan and cling to stanchions. Higher and higher now, the Unterzee shimmers like glass below. Children clamoring in crevices cheer and wave alarmingly. The winch motor slows and you hang in a cradle next to a red-bowed pirate cutter. Now, you basically kind of got a basic description of what you're looking at, what the area is going to basically kind of present. Obviously, this is some sort of like a pirate haven. There's several options that you can kind of approach this situation to. Depending on what you have with you, if you have enough money, you could say an evening out at the Errant Lampet. A drinking den by the dock cradle is a good place for your crew to find companionship and let off steam, but although Gator's Morn is a free port, the Corsairs prefer their own and look wow, the writing is intense. Askance at respectable Londoners. So, for us to do this, we'd have to have a terror unlocked with terror of 1. You have 6, which is represented by the terror meter. This is kind of like a way of your characters relaxing. We'd also have to have unlock something awaits you at port, basically. Every now and then when you're at sea, you're going to see like a little icon appear here on the logbook, and that lets you know that there's something going on at the docks for you to go and read or have access to. And it's basically called something awaits you, basically. Also, we'd need 50 Echo. I only have 24 Echo. Echo is the currency of the game. You'll be purchasing, things to put in your hold, to upgrade your ship. All that comes through Echo. So we don't exactly have that. So we can see what other options we can do. We can go ahead and explore the Moor. There's a surprising quantity of actual landscapes on the Moor. It's a vertical, admittedly, but once you find the Beast's Pass and Urchin Roads, you can traverse it as you would a rocky moor, with an additional throatful of lurching terror. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Says there's a surprising quantity of actual landscape on the moor. It's vertical, admittedly, but once you find the okay, we actually did that. Sorry, we read that already. Whoopsie. So we just going to go ahead and we actually explore. This is actually how we're progressing the story at this point. A high place, the Z like a rippled sheet of night. Green jade, the roof of the neath above, belied with stalactites and pricked with false star. Look out across the water. What are you thinking of? From up here, your future looks glorious, if not exactly bright. That will unlock when we find your father's bones, and then retire. You have this. Retire. Wow, okay. Your past as a soldier. All the wide black Z. Where does it end? Okay, we basically get an option of what to think about, I guess. So we're gonna think about our future. We've lost 2 terror and are now wary. That's all for now. You're the captain of your ship, but never the captain of your fate. One day, though. One day. Okay, so that basically really didn't lead to much. What is this going to lead to? Unlocked objective and Administrative Commission. Retrieve strategic information. Strategic information. Reduce the blindness to the morn. Collect your ill-gotten gains. Gather intelligence, which will give us... How do we unlock our port report? Is that it? Oh, it's a tough challenge. Okay, Gator's Morn swarms with pirates, smugglers, and captains of uncertain legions. You could learn a lot here, but you'll need to go carefully. Now, again, this is all represented by those points I was talking about. Your mirrors, your veils, your pages, your iron, basically. Depending on what the challenge is, you'll either have it be really easy or really tough. So, for instance, in this particular time, we're trying to get our port report. We're going to need to use our veils. It has a 32% chance of success. Probably not going to work. And it did not. Looks like we lost some people. A dislike of spies. You and one of your more villainous-looking sailors join a dice game. Villainous-looking, but you know for a fact that she... tilts to charity and has a delightful singing voice. The topic turns promisingly to pillage and ambush, but your sailor is a little too forward with her questions. There's a scuffle and a stabbing. You escape. She does not. Oh, God. She just died. You gain 5 terror. We've lost 1 crew member. Vales 27 failed in a challenge. Try again. You may have better luck. You now have 1 of this. A port report, Gator's Morn. So we did get the port report nonetheless, though. So we did accomplish my goal, even though it cost us the life of one of our crew members up here. Oh, well, they're dead. I can now move along from this place. But there's several other objectives you can do here. Now, that is just one port in this game, guys. There is several other ports that you can head to find information, to find out things, and basically information that you can use to progress a storyline or find things out. There's just all sorts of places that you can head towards and find things out about, guys. And, of course, kind of progress the story. But I got my port report. I'm going to head back to Fallen London, which, as you can see, is all the way over there. to kind of gather, to basically turn this information into the Admiral, and he'll give me information about my father's remains, which are somewhere out at sea and is kind of my overall objective. Now, there's a lot of things we could be doing right now. This is an open-ended game. We don't necessarily need to follow the main storyline. You can hit, by the way, the space bar to pause the game at any point in time and look over your gazetteer, which is kind of your logbook, to interact with your crew. You can also look at your chart, see where you are, zoom in on that, of course, if you wanted to. All right, you could. No, you can't, maybe. Oh, I guess there's a zoom in feature, just not a zoom out feature. You can also roll your mouse wheel. And you can, of course, access the options. But when you are moving about, when you are in real time, you have a couple options. You have like the Z-Bat, which basically is like a, if you want to look at it, it's kind of like a sonar. It tells you what's around the local area. So it says there are no islands within the Z-Bat's range. You can also turn off your lights. You can also fix your ship if your ship's hull is too low, which mine is just about fine. But it takes a day's worth of time to fix your hull. So if we do that, we will be using up supplies. We can also fire up the engines and give us some extra speed. But again, our engines could react in a negative way. They could, well, basically explode. And that covers the options here on the bottom of the screen. We can also enter combat. That's nice, the game, thank you. I will disable the tutorial now. I will be telling them what to do. We can also enter combat. If something approaches us that is hostile, it will basically enter us in this combat mode. Now, you can basically see these three different kinds of triangles here. Well, this is basically a representation of our field of vision in the Z. If something is within our light, we have kind of a better odds of generating a better shot. Basically, this meter, there's going to be a meter that's going to start filling up around this thing. And once it fills up completely, you're guaranteed a shot. If you're, however, in the darkness and you're not seeing it as well, but it's still in front of you, you'll still be generating a shot. Like where that ship is right there on the top triangle, you'll be still generating a shot, it's just not as well and not as quickly. If anything's behind you, obviously you can't generate a shot. And there's all sorts of environmental hazards and things that you have to keep an eye out for. Like, for instance, we're entering a fog here. And one thing I will say that I like about this game is that, other than the fact that it's vast and complicated and long, is that there's all sorts of objectives you can have while playing this game, and I really like that. So as you can see, it says something awaits you at port now. Now, a day basically has passed, and now something's kind of awaiting for us where we can access a new aspect of things. Who knows what will be waiting for us at port? Lots of things are always unlocking, lots of things are always happening. One thing I will say I find difficult is reading the logbook. I have no idea if there's a way to adjust that, but the logbook is really tiny, and you kind of have to squint your eyes sometimes if you're looking at it to read it. So it says, blue lightning crawls leisurely up the funnel. Saint Aramis dancing, the cry goes up. Okay. I don't know what the hell that means, but I'm guessing it's just sailor talk. That's what that means. Sometimes you'll run into random events or random ships. All sorts of randomly procedurally generated stuff could happen, guys. As far as the graphics go, I think the graphics are very well. I like the ships. I like the way they look. I like everything. The islands look. It's all hand drawn. The portraits. It's all very well done. It really does lend itself, its style, to the universe and its mysteries, as it were. And I enjoy that. Musically, I have to say the game's soundtrack is phenomenal. Even though right now we're not hearing anything. I didn't turn off the soundtrack, did I? I guess I didn't. It's just between tracks right now. But the soundtrack of this game is phenomenal, guys. Phenomenal. It's well done. It's amazing just to listen to the soundtrack, and just very eerie sounding. I know right now things are rather calm. I guess I didn't run into any trouble between those particular ports. But normally you'll get into battles. You can have lots of crazy stuff happen between one place and another. This is Fallen London. This is kind of like your base, your home base, where you'll be coming back to for all sorts of things to happen. You'll be, for instance, right now, this guy wants to check our ship and make sure there's nothing suspicious going on. There's nothing illegal aboard our vessel. Again, you can smuggle things in this game. There is ways to get around these particular guards. You can pay them off. You could ask a favor if you have enough admiral points. All sorts of different things you can do to avoid this thing. But because I'm not really smuggling anything, we're not really going to have a problem with these guys. Now, Fallen London is your home base. There's a lot of different things you can do here at London. You can go back to your lodge. You can basically go and upgrade your ship. All sorts of different stuff. But right now it looks like there's some sort of random event which is occurring, which is collect messages from the harbor master. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see. That's all for now. You now have one of this. Another day of free evening. A blind bruiser would like a word. Something has changed underneath, and someone wants to sign on. Let's see. It's a good evening, my lord. By the way, this guy I took some supplies from, so he's probably going to ask me a favor. You mind saying so? It has given my impression that you are an obliging sort. I imagine you won't mind. Not at all. And since you are so very obliging, perhaps you wouldn't mind making a little detour via Mount Parliamentary with a few articles of cargo. If you happen to be in the area, the cherry man will, of course, cover your expenses for this trifling inconvenience. You will need at least 1 unit of space for your hold. Okay, so this is obviously a smuggler. This guy wants me to smuggle some stuff right here. It is only, after all, a trifling inconvenience. So we'll go ahead and say yes. You agree to smuggle souls from London to Mount Parmesan. You now have 1 unstamped crate of brilliant souls. No idea what the hell that means, but I guess we're now smuggling stuff. And again, you'll be interacting with all the areas through this logbook. Now we can go to London. We could read the morning papers. For reading the morning papers, we got a recent news. We got some fragments. And we lost 1 terror because we were at a total of 14 from that 1 sailor's death. Again, you got to keep that terror level down as much as possible. Otherwise, crazy shit will start happening. And all sorts of things you can do. You can go to your hold. You can buy stuff. Again, all those things I told you earlier, you can do. Here's all sorts of different kinds of shops for all sorts of different kinds of things. You can also go to the shipyard, as you can see, and upgrade your ship to pretty massive levels. There's a ship for, it looks like 30,000 echoes. Ours is only worth 1,000. And I don't really know what the benefit of upgrading your ship is, but I can only imagine it probably has a bigger hull, probably can hold on to more guns, and all sorts of different kinds of crew and all that kind of stuff. And then that's available for you. So we should have enough echoes. What? Oh, because we haven't turned in our port report. There we go. That's why. Okay, so we're going to go not to our lodgings. We're going to go, perhaps not. We're going to go to the City of London. We're going to go to the Admiralty Survey Office. We're going to go there. They'll pay information from Z captains, find out what and how. So we're going to Gators Morn. You have something to tell us about the pirate fleets of the forest. We're going to turn in our port report, and we're going to get all sorts of stuff for that. So as you can see, you have something to tell us about we got a fuel. We got a favor. You no longer have any of this. We lost our port report, but we got some echo, which brings us back up to 54. They paid us basically to get that port report. Information is as valuable as, actually trading in this case. So now that we got that done, we can actually go ahead and now go back here and find out more from about our father's, basically, where he died. You've heard the Admiralty's favor. The dark spectacled admiral will see you now, which is, I guess, this guy. You've ushered into his office, off Manston's Pyre, crumpled room with vast desk. He surveys you across this desk. Ah, yes, the merchant captain of whom we hear such complicated things. The admiral will purchase intelligence from you. So he wants, at the Parliament Club, the admiral dropped hints about your father and about his deplorable end. What does the admiral know? All right, go ahead. Yes, there was a certain report. King Eater's castle, the empty temple at the end of the world. Your father went there. No one makes the pilgrimage there if they intend to return. One way or another, no pilgrim returns home. I've heard that they stay. I've also heard that they go on, somewhere even further. It is a regrettable place, Captain. The King's Eater castle and its pilgrims do regrettable things. If you go, do not take any who are dear to you. Wow, the King's is far to the southeast of the map. Go there if you must. Interesting. So we could do that now and basically kind of bring the game to an end if we wanted to. Again, it's very open-ended. Your goals are going to be your decisions. You don't have to play the game by the main objective. There's a lot of different ways you can go about things. So I'm going to go ahead and save, by the way. How do I save? I guess I can't save, or... okay. Well, we could save earlier. I don't know why it's not letting me save now. I guess we can only... load from an auto save or specific save. So I'm going to go ahead and actually can I kill myself? That'll take a very long time to kill myself. Let's see if we can find some trouble, guys. And I'll show you what the combat's like. Kill my captain off so you can see the legacy. Hopefully we can do that here quickly enough. So that way I can show you what death looks like and what character creation looks like. But we got to find something to actually kind of kill us. There's the Hunter's Keep. Usually there's trouble around these parts. And it's really not that hard to find trouble. Just for some reason in this particular video right now, I've been very fortunate. And to be honest, that would be normally perfectly okay with me. But in this particular case, I want to show you what combat is like and what death is like. Because death is an equally important part of this game. That's fine. There we go. Kill me. By the way, as you can see, my meter's filled up here. What the hell? It says a tooth-crackling treasure, a chunk of grit baked in your ship's biscuit. You crack a tooth and curse, your crew chuckle, but when the object turns out to be a diamond, small and badly flawed, a diamond nonetheless, they all hush. Diamonds are sacred to the stone, one says. Give it to the sea, Captain. It'll be luck for us. Apparently my crew wants me to give this diamond back to the sea, so I'll go ahead and do that. So apparently we got the gods of the sea stone's attention. You know something of the three gods of the sea. There we go. So we just blasted those bats apart. You can see that meter's kind of filling up there. I don't think I'm going to get the chance to show you. Unfortunately, what death looks like in this particular video. The succubus was stolen blood into the pot. You've gained 1 terror, which is fine, but I also got some supplies, which is nice too. Again, that's kind of just an example of combat. And combat is usually a little bit more difficult than that, guys. And certainly more dangerous depending on what targets you're facing, if there's another ship, if it's a monster, God knows all sorts of crazy crap that you can run into in this game, guys. So I'm actually going to go ahead and hit New Game. The reason I'm going to hit New Game, guys, is because I want to show you what New Game looks like. So when you basically start a new game, you're of course going to start off at Fallen London. It's going to have you choose a past, which is kind of a way of setting the story forward. You could say you're a street urchin, a poet, a veteran of the campaign of 68, an ordained priest, a natural philosopher, and these all alter the course of the game and, of course, what stats you start off with. So for instance, if we picked a street urchin, we'd have subtlety and evasion, which would probably add to our, veils, as it were. This will add to our pages, this will add to our iron, this will add to our hearts, etc, etc, etc. It lets you basically choose your speciality. So we'll go ahead and say street urchin. And then of course gives us a crew member to help us basically kind of balance out. So for this instance, we got Longshant's Gunner, who is a +1 to iron. It gives us some stuff, gives us some echo, blah 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 blah. And basically gives us more options to choose from. So for instance, it lets us choose a story option. Now this is the part of the game where it can be kind of tricky, guys. There is a certain extent of the story here that is randomly procedurally generated, but there is also amounts of it that are the exact same every time you play it. So the game is vast, but you'll be sometimes seeing the same things over and over again, which some people will like, some people will get turned off by. So we could say we're after fulfillment instead of our father's bones this time. And that'll change the story path. But they're always adding more and more to the game, guys. It's not always going to be the exact same. And the game is vast, guys. It's an open world game. So even if you do play it for, 100, you could play it probably for easily 50 hours and just get to experience everything this game has to offer, getting the best ship, seeing what each of the storyline has to offer, etc, etc, etc. This is where you get to choose a portrait and a name. We'll call him Cogsworth. I don't care. Except, and now we basically go about the exact same thing that we were doing earlier. We go out on an adventure. We see what we can pull off, what we can do. Try to further our main storyline, which apparently in this case is, I don't know. It was, apparently it was fulfillment or achievements or something or other. It's under the journal here. Says somewhere around here. But you get the basic idea of what you're going to be looking at, what you're going to be doing, guys. Like I said, it's just a very vast and complex game, guys. It's really big. But I enjoy it a lot. The controls are smooth. You can have that controller support. I think graphically the game suits its style. I love the music. I love the soundtrack. The sound effects are good. Obviously, the game has a lot of replay value as well. As far as that death thing goes, and the fact that I get to show you that basically when you die, you get to choose certain things to pass on to the next captain. And depending on what accomplishments you made with that last captain, it could be a lot, it could be little, but it's always going to be different every time you die. As far as Steamy goodness goes, there is Steam achievements. There is no Steam cards yet. As far as bugs go, I haven't ran into too terribly many, guys, but I had some issues. Occasionally the game would freeze up when loading. I don't know if that was my computer or if the game, but it did happen, guys. But this video has definitely gone on long enough, guys. It's a great game. I highly suggest you check it out. I think you will enjoy it. It has a lot of replay value, and it's just a vast, fun game, guys. You got ships, towns, terror, stories, all sorts of stuff, guys. Smuggling, pirate battles, events, random events, 200,000 lines of stories, guys, combat, just all sorts of stuff you can do in this game, guys. So I just want to say big thanks to the developer for a chance to check out this title. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe and share, guys, and I'll keep bringing you awesome indie games. Don't forget about tonight's Indie Game of the Week stream, guys, where I'll be playing this game more, and if you want to see more about it, maybe talk to me, ask me questions, all that stuff, you can do that during the stream, guys. Of course, all tips are appreciated and go to improving the channel or future giveaways. Till next time, guys, play more indie games.